Hi babes, welcome back to Bibliophile ASMR. It's your girl. I honestly don't even know if this video is gonna come out good, but I don't feel like setting everything up for a full ass video, but I want to talk about weight in my body because I was talking with a friend that I do a lot of research. As you all know, I love research and I try to share it with people, but I feel like sometimes no one cares. So I was like, oh my god, I should totally talk about all the stuff I research on my ASMR channel. Because A, I need content, and B, I think it's interesting stuff, and I think you guys would like it. But in this case, I've done definitely a little bit of research in weight and what weight means. Because for me, with my anxiety, with things, reading more about them, trying to understand more about my anxiety helps me feel better. For example, and this all ties together, I have always been the pencil pusher, teacher's pet kid. Okay, I don't like to ruffle feathers. I don't like to be a bad kid. I rarely did anything to get in trouble. And when it was me. You know, my personality wasn't necessarily, wasn't necessarily what I did. Anyway, so when I got into cannabis, my mom was very against it, and I had to kind of look up the facts because I personally don't want to do anything to ruin my life or, you know, shit like that. Ruin my life pretty much. Because that is the fear that my mother put in me throughout my entire childhood, is that one small decision and you can ruin your life, right? So I basically did the research and come to find out that cannabis seems to be, oral cannabis, like edible, seems to be less addictive than alcohol. And it makes sense because, well, that's a whole nother topic, and I can get into addiction and substances. It's a passion of mine, you all know. But I basically looked all that stuff up, and you know, it's still something I battle with, but I at least have the facts to say, no, you are making a good decision by saying, although alcohol is more normalized than cannabis consumption, alcohol is not as safe of a substance as cannabis is. So, yeah. But then it's like, well, why do you need a substance? You know, humans don't need it's like, I can't even just do. So anyways, so one of my psychiatrist appointments, actually, it was my most recent, my psychiatrist brought up Sigmund Freud's concept of the id, the ego, and the superego. And this concept, I was trying to make it brighter, but it's not going to be. This concept basically states that everyone has almost like the devil and the angel on their shoulders. The id is the devil, the superego is the angel, and the ego is you. And you have, you know, innate kind of desires and wants to have sex and do drugs and eat and blah blah blah, and that's your id. And your super ego says, no, you shouldn't be doing any of those things. You should be the best version of you can possibly be, which in itself kind of stems from your childhood and what you learned ideals are and were. And your job throughout life is to balance those two things, and some people lean more towards one way may not be getting this all 100% correct. I am not a psychologist. I did just read a little bit about it. But she basically said, the super ego is running your life. And I was like, baby, yes, she is. And so reading about it kind of helped me realize, like, I've just got this innate desire to want to only make the right decisions and never do anything that is kind of desire driven. I don't feel like those wants deserve attention, which is kind of sad because everybody deserves to have their wants and desires met. So that's that. So then we get into the story of my body. Now, if you guys have been following me for a long time, you know that up and through all of my life, up until kind of my freshman year of high school, I was always on the heavier side. I hit around 260, I want to say, in my senior year of high school going into college. Never loved my body, never felt worthy of love, never felt attractive, and that all kind of stemmed from a combination of my body, but also I'm sure a huge chunk of it stems from trying to ask out every girl in high school that I could to prove that I was straight when, none of them wanted to date me because, I was the GBF. But that all kind of culminated to this low sense of self-worth. And so when I got into exercising and going to the gym and fitness, it was at a time when I had just lost a group of friends, and it was kind of my coping mechanism, my mental health kind of coping mechanism. And this was before I had done any mental health treatments, before I was on an SSRI, before I was in therapy. And this was before I've always been kind of self-aware, but not a critical thinker at that time. So I just kind of got into it, and it became an everyday thing, and it became quite a, what I would say, pathologic relationship. If I wasn't going to the gym one day a week, I was feeling disgusting. If I wasn't working out enough, I was feeling disgusting. If my muscles didn't really hurt when I got out, I felt like I didn't do it enough and it was a waste. If I didn't bring my Apple Watch to track how long and how many calories, I felt like I was wasting my time. I never felt skinny enough. I never felt, attractive enough. I definitely felt more attractive, but it was never enough. My love handles became such a huge thing because they were the last part of my body that I couldn't get to shrink down, and it was the only thing I could focus on. It was crazy. No matter what I did, no matter how much I did, in addition to restricting my diet, I was not drinking any alcohol or consuming any sugary products except for on the weekend. And then I just did that for a while, and eventually the diet kind of got a little bit more lenient. And I did that for many years, and then after I got in my relationship, which was not the healthiest situation, and started my antidepressant and started therapy, and the pandemic hit, I stopped going to the gym, and I started eating worse. And we are obviously, I truly feel like if I was 215 probably at my lowest, and I'm 250 now, so I'm back up to where I pretty much was. I feel worse. I feel so gross and disgusting and unworthy of love again. And it's so, again, I say unworthy of love again as if it ever stopped. It never stopped. And so I got into this mindset of holy shit, I had an addiction to working out and to restricting my diet, and I don't want to do that again, because the pros and cons of it are pros knows? I'm healthier. Now that's a whole thing. Like, that's kind of where all of these internal debates come from. Well, what does healthy mean? You know, why do people go to the gym? So I started reading articles about the history of fitness, and people weren't into fitness not too long ago. It kind of started in, I don't even remember the dates at this point. I read the article last week, but it stemmed from the muscle men in circuses, because people believed, they say this in the article, people believed that if you had too big of muscles, you would have contractures and you wouldn't be able to move. So people didn't grow their muscles big specifically for that reason. And then these circus men came out. One specifically went on tour right as photography was becoming big, and he went on tour around the world, and people would pay to see his muscles and feel his muscles. And this was also the time that like homoerotic culture came out, which is, I think, crazy. And that just kind of took off, and then it was Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then it was Gold Gym and all this stuff, and it just became like a whole revolution. And at the same time came these ideals from the American culture that like you can change who you are, you can be who you want to be, you can make a life for yourself. If you were born in poverty, you can pick yourself up, and you can become a CEO, which is like all just bullshit that this capitalistic society has put on us. This idea that one person can change the world is some bullshit. It's fucking unreal. So it's like this huge movement, right? And there's huge economic implications too, because it was a business too. You have all these like fitness DVDs. You've got all these different fitness clothing lines. Like, it's a huge economic, pretty much empire. And so it's like, well, is this truly based on us wanting to be healthy, or is this truly based on something else? And I think we're headed, or at least are there in an area where this is not good, because our society is romanticizing this relationship with the gym, which is not only not realistic, but it is not healthy. Going to the gym every single day for hours on end, restricting your diet, body dysmorphia. These are all common themes among so many young and old people alike that it's ridiculous. And we are getting to the point now where there's research coming out that this might be a new diagnosis in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Mental Illnesses. There's a huge kind of movement talking about exercise dependence, and how do you classify someone as having an addiction to exercise, and what are the implications of that, and all this stuff. And there's relationships to eating disorders and other mental illnesses, specifically OCD and all this. So it's like, oh my gosh, it's like such a can of worms, and I just don't know how I feel about it, because I feel gross and I do want to feel better. I want to be thinner, which is so sad, because I truly love everyone else as they are. And yes, absolutely, as someone who is going to be hopefully a primary care PA in not too many months, I want my patients to be healthy. I don't want them to have, chronic illnesses or major complications, from maybe an unhealthy lifestyle. But truly, that's up to everyone individually. This whole idea that everyone should be healthy is quite ridiculous, I think, because food is introduced at such a young age, and it is a very addictive substance. That's a whole nother thing. I could get into how like all of our DSM diagnoses for addiction stem around substances, and there's very few kind of lifestyle addictions. They've got gambling addiction in the DSM, but they don't have anything on exercise. They don't have anything on eating. I mean, there's eating disorders, but obesity, I truly believe, is an epidemic of addiction to food. There have been several animal studies where they've given rats the ability to self-administer like cocaine or sucrose, which is sugar, and they pick the sucrose over the cocaine. It is that addictive, and it's in everything, and it's just crazy. And so I feel fucking stuck. I feel like I do a million equations in my head of what is the right decision here, and what does it mean to have a right decision, and what would be the best for my mental health, my physical health, my emotional health. It is such a confounded topic, and it carries with it a lot of stigma and other issues, including trying to find a relationship. I'm trying to get back out there and get in another relationship, which I've had, as you know, not much luck with, and I worry that being my size, I am not going to find love and that I'm unworthy of love. Now, I could tell myself, and I do tell myself, that I am worthy of love and that I am much, much more than just weight. But our society has kind of raised me and us to believe that that is just not the case. Every single pediatric appointment, visit I had as a child, there was a discussion about my weight where my mom was brought into the room from out in the waiting room, and it was a big deal. I mean, it's a huge, huge thing in my brain. There's no doubt about that. I just don't know how to traverse it, because I think it's a very tricky subject, because yes, I want to be healthy. No, I don't want to live with chronic medical conditions in my late, 40s, 50s, 60s. I don't want to die super early. But at the same time, I don't want to, I want to exercise and I want to get fit, but do I want to exercise because I want to get skinny and more attractive for other men so that I feel worthy, or do I want to work out because I want to be healthy and feel better? Absolutely both. I don't think that I could be able to split those apart and just have one over the other. So what my goal is and what my mindset is right now is to go on walks this summer, go on my fast-paced walks that got my heart rate up. Now, I'm not going to have the weight loss that I wanted or want, and I'm not going to have the weight loss like I did before, because it's just not reasonable, and I think that's a whole nother aspect of why it's unhealthy. Your body shouldn't be losing such a significant amount of weight in such a short amount of time. I literally lost 50 pounds in like 3 months over summer, my freshman into sophomore year, and that's not healthy. But it never felt enough, so I mean, it just goes to show. So anyway, I think that it's a very, very tricky subject, and it's not talked about enough, and I'm very sad for how our society is, and I'm sad for kids growing up nowadays, because I just know how it is. And so when I was in pediatrics, I did my best to tell every child, do not worry about your weight right now. You're 12. You're beautiful just the way you are. You're perfect just the way you are. You've got the rest of your life to be worrying about this. You should be worrying about being happy, because newsflash, the rest of your life is going to be you miserable. But yeah, I just wanted to get on here and talk about that and get it off my chest. I gotta talk about it more in therapy. I don't know, because I just feel like no one, I just feel like my therapist or like my parents, like they don't get it. They don't get what I'm saying, that like this is a tricky subject, because, or at least it's tricky to me with whatever the fuck pathology I have with always trying to make the right decision, because it's like a balancing act of like the very possible addictive side to both, food and exercise. And then I'm like, well, is this just me being lazy that I don't want to do these things, or is it truly that I fear getting back into them? Because I do. It's like, would I rather feel worthless and hate myself while eating the things I want and being lazy and not working out, and I should say, affirmations, and then guess what? I'm tired. I get home and I'm tired, and I know other bitches do it too, and I know that those bitches go to the gym afterwards. I get it. Everyone's different, and I absolutely have the energy to do something after. Now, we are finally getting to the warmer months, so hopefully the sun will stay out and I can go on walks and stuff. But anyways, getting back, I was saying, would I rather be unhealthy and miserable, or would I rather be healthy and miserable? And there's an article I want to read. I believe it's about a specific type of I don't even know what you would call it, but it's called healthy at every size, and it kind of talks about how you can be healthy at every size, and you should be, basically focusing less on weight and BMI and fat and all this stuff, and you should be focusing more on being happy and healthy and mentally, physically, emotionally healthy, not just whatever. And let me not even get into the fact that our society currently romanticizes rectus abdominis muscles so much, and I get it, because putting a pin in that, and I get it because I can't even fucking explain it, and this is one of the things I've tried to look into, but I don't even know how I would look into it. But why the fuck, when I'm on Tinder or Bumble or just out and about, that men with big muscles I find the most attractive? Why the fuck is that? I don't want to, because I know what has to go in to get to that, but there is this innate drive of that is sexy to me. Now, I'm not saying that men who don't have muscles aren't sexy, because there are plenty of men with a sexy ass dad bod, a little belly. That's my ideal. That's what I want. But I'm why the fuck is this attractive to me? I don't want it to be. And going back, we romanticize rectus abdominis and having abs so much, and you don't even realize to have visible abs, you need to have a body fat percent below a certain threshold for men and for women. That is ridiculous. The fact that you have to restrict your diet so much, like HRH Collection says, restricting your calories, which is not the fucking, be all end all. Yeah, that is how you can lose weight. Is it healthy? No, it's not. There's plenty of ways that you can lose weight. Restricting calories, doing keto diet, you can do the fucking DASH diet, you can do fucking the beach pot. There's so many different diets. Diets can help you lose weight. They will not help you maintain weight at that level. It needs to be a more wholesome outlook on your view on eating, your ability to understand eating and exercising and staying healthy. It is not just a easy answer, and I think that's our generation wants easy answers, and it's not an easy answer. It needs to be a beautiful, slow, wholesome outlook, and we need to completely get away from where we are right now, because it is unhealthy in my mind. But romanticizing restricting your diet to the point that your body fat percentage is below a certain threshold so that you have visible abs is wrong. And the fact that that is such a fucking focus, oh, I like a guy with abs, or oh, we see, what's his name, the guy who was blowing up on TikTok, what's his name, Noah Centineo, no, not Noah Centineo, what was his name, Noah Beck. Everyone was obsessed with Noah Beck, and everyone talked about his abs. Yeah. Guess what? Abs, the only fucking thing you have to realize every time you see a person with abs is that means that their body fat percentage is below a certain threshold, but above, because you need a minimum amount to stay alive. It's 4.5% is how much you need to stay alive or something, and above 5 or whatever, I'm just making up numbers, above 5 you won't see your abs. So you are restricting that fat percentage so low that you can see your abs, but not low enough that you'll die, and that's why it's not right. Not right. And our society with Instagram and all these fitness people are going to the gym multiple times a day, and all of these supplements like creatine and beta alanine, and it is crazy. So, girl, I just need to get that off my chest, and I hope this video is good. And please let me know what your thoughts are on this. I know there are people who disagree with me. I have really good friends of mine who are pretty much everything I just talked about. And guess what? They are valid and they are worthy, okay? It is not easy. Okay, this is not black and white. This is a very gray topic, and it's a touchy subject, and it's very triggering for a lot of people. I'm gonna put a trigger warning, okay? I don't know how I'm gonna put it in the beginning of this video. I should have fucking done it. But anyway, if you are struggling like me, okay, there are very few things I need you to remember. That you are worthy no matter what that number on the scale means, okay? And so because I say that, you should not be measuring your weight on the scale multiple times. You shouldn't. It does not define you. It does not make you worthy or unworthy. It is such a minuscule thing. It is an objective. It's what we call, oh shoot, let me think of what the word is. It is a surrogate marker for something we don't even know what we're measuring. Health. It is a surrogate marker. Okay, this is a term I saw in my research book. It is a marker. Measuring your weight does not necessarily correlate with health. And how do we define health? Okay, it doesn't. Your BMI doesn't either. Do not look at those things. I want you to be happy. I want you to be content. And I want you to know and feel in your heart that you are loved, because you are worthy of love at every single day in your life, at every single step of your journey. You are beautiful just the way you are. You are worthy of love. Someone will love you. And if someone doesn't, bitch, you better love yourself, because that's what really matters the most. Now, I definitely don't practice what I preach, but I believe in what I preach. Okay? I love you very much.